Since the dawn of time, across the vast expanse of the world, there's been a question of which is better. Man versus beast. Alien versus predator. And I struggle to figure out what to say about this one because I actually enjoy real fighting. But I didn't invite you here today to talk about two femboys fighting in a ring in front of a large audience for a lot of money. If I wanted that type of action, I'd go to Pornhub and self-abuse myself until the cows come home. But I don't do that sort of thing because I'm married. But just like a group of unexcited judges pitted on four corners of a supposed boxing match, scoring the two individuals tickling each other into submission, I thought it might be interesting to do the same with two of my favourite horror games released in 2023. So without further ado, this is Amnesia the Bunker versus Ad Infinitum. And I'll be judging the games under three different categories. Three categories are going to be the graphics, the atmosphere, and jump scares. So let's kick it off with the graphics. In Amnesia the Bunker, what strikes me the most is the graininess. It's not the kind of crisp, clean image you'd expect in most games nowadays. No, it's this deliberate graininess that adds an extra layer of dread. It's as if you're watching a decaying VHS tape from the 80s, and that fuzziness obscures just enough to make your imagination run wild. You're never quite sure if that shadow in the corner is a monster or just a trick of the pixels. Now moving on to Ad Infinitum. The trench system is rendered with a surprising degree of vibrancy. The mud is a sickly brown, the uniforms and gas masks stand out in stark contrast, and even the barbed wire has a certain sinister shine to it. It's not what you'd typically expect from a horror game, especially one set in the grim realities of a World War I trench system. What truly sets this game apart though is its approach to lighting. While it's true that a significant portion of the game takes place in pitch black night of the trenches, there's an incredible balance achieved. The moonlight casts eerie glows and elongated shadows, creating an almost surreal dreamlike atmosphere. And during the day, when the sun manages to claw its way through the perpetual clouds of war, the colours become even more vivid. You'd think that such brightness would lessen the horror, but it doesn't, it adds to it. It's as if the horrors of war are even more pronounced in the full light of day, when there's no darkness to hide them. In the end, both these horror games use graphics brilliantly in their own right. One uses grainy visuals and darkness to immerse you in the terror, while the other embraces colour and lighting to craft an equally chilling experience. It goes to show that in the world of horror gaming, there are countless ways to send shivers down your spine, and sometimes it's the unexpected choices that make the most lasting impressions. So the best game for graphics for me is gonna be Ad Infinitum. The atmosphere. The atmosphere in Amnesia the Bunker is unlike anything I've experienced before. It's a relentless, heart-pounding ride where every moment is a test of your wits and survival instincts. The absence of a traditional script makes it all the more immersive as you're left to navigate this nightmare with no safety net. One of the most fascinating aspects is because of the lack of script, there's no predetermined path or set of events that unfold in a linear fashion. Instead, the monster, that horrifying entity that hunts you down, appears and chases you based entirely on your choices and actions within the environment. In the end, it's not just the jump scares or the dark visuals that make the horror game unforgettable. It's the ever-present feeling that you're being hunted, that your choices matter, and that the world around you is alive with malevolence. Now, Ad Infinitum transports you back and forth through a haunting, nightmarish trench of World War I to a mysterious and equally eerie haunted mansion. The game excels in creating atmospheres for both settings, but I never quite feel like I could immerse myself fully in either setting. In the trenches, the atmosphere is thick with tension and despair. The mud, the barbed wire, the constant threat of enemy fire. It's all there and it's all palpable. But just as you start to feel the weight of the wartime horror, you're whisked away to the mansion, leaving the trenches behind. And in the mansion, it's equally unsettling. The creaking floorboards, the eerie portraits on the wall, the inflexible sounds. It all contributes to a sense of dread. But just as you start to get into the groove of exploring this haunted dwelling, it's back to the trenches again. In In the end, whilst both settings had a compelling atmosphere, this game's decision to keep you constantly in flux between them left me yearning for a deeper and more sustained experience in either the World War I trenches or the Haunted Mansion. It's a hauntedly missed opportunity in the world of horror gaming where the atmosphere was there, but the immersion sadly was not. So that being said, my choice for the best atmosphere out of the two games is gonna be Amnesia: The Bunker. Jump scares! See what I did there? The jump scares in Amnesia: The Bunker, while few and far between, they're not the typical scripted moments that you'd find in most horror titles. No, these jump scares feel entirely organic, and for the most part they are utterly unexpected, unless of course you make a mistake and alert the monster to your presence. I'll admit there were times when I found myself holding my breath, trying to move silently through the game world, afraid to make even the slightest sound. It's a unique and paralysing fear because it's not about what you can see, it's about what you can't. About the lurking horror waiting to strike at any moment. Alternatively, in Ad Infinitum, the jump scares are meticulously designed, each one crafted like a horrifying piece of art. You can tell that the developers took great care in orchestrating these moments to perfection. The lighting, the sound design, the camera angles, all of it carefully choreographed to elicit maximum fear. What's striking is how these scripted jump scares manage to be so effective. You might expect that predictability would dull their impact, but that's just not the case here. Instead, they feel like a dance, a terrifying ballet of terror that plays out before your eyes. It's as if the game itself is a conductor and you are the unwitting audience drawn into this nightmarish symphony. In the end, when it comes to jump scares, both games are equally effective in their own right. Amnesia: The Bunker immerses the player in a world of terror where they're constantly forced to adapt and overcome and react to the situation around them, while Ad Infinitum showcases the artistry of fear with jump scares that are masterfully crafted and visually stunning. The choice between these two experiences ultimately comes down to personal preference, whether you prefer the visceral thrill of unpredictability or the artful precision of scripted horror. Regardless, both games succeed in delivering spine-tingling fear that lingers long after you put down the controller, or keyboard and mouse, whichever you play with. But yeah, for this category, I'm gonna have to say it's a draw. But ultimately, there has to be a winner, and I'm not going to leave you hanging in the wind like the two idiots at the start of this video. Ultimately, both games are absolutely fantastic. I had a great time playing both of them. They shipped the life out of me, they made me laugh, they made me cry, they changed my life. However, there needs to be a winner, and for me, it's just gonna be Amnesia: The Bunker. Just taking it by the skin of its teeth. Both games were absolutely amazing. Amnesia: The Bunker just has that track record and that experience in making video games that really bring out the true terror in the environment and your personal psyche. However, that being said, Ad Infinitum, fantastic game all around, really enjoyed every minute of that. I think the developers were quite new to video game production, so if they are, you have to give it to them. It's a fantastic game, and I can't wait to see what they come out with next. So, Amnesia: The Bunker is the winner. Round of applause for them. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, consider subscribing, and leave a comment down below. If you think there's anything that I missed out, or I've been a bit unfair with the judging, if you think that there should have been some different categories, or maybe implement some more categories, please let me know all your thoughts down there in the comments, and I'll sure to get back to you. Anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Look out for my next one. I've been Paddy. Peace out.